I met Shorty in the club. Next thing I knew, I woke up in Switzerland sipping cocoa.
And shouldn't have had that last whiskey.
SoundMinds! Let's go!
The largest Sound Minds greeting of what? Sound Minds history.
Hell yeah. And we got more to come. We got more to come. So listen, y'all, we just celebrated a very pagan holiday Thursday where every family get together. So we ain't gonna get into the history of the nastiness and the wickedness of this disgusting ass country. But what we will do is bring the family together, and we're gonna celebrate together as Sound Minds. So what you see in front of you right now is the Sound Minds family. We're gonna see more people come in. One brother who his Wi-Fi is acting up a little bit, we're gonna hope to get him on, is Tank Source. Is one of the newest and the youngest members of Sound Minds. Shout out to him. But what you see in front of you is a constellation of greatness. And we're going to get into stories. We're going to get into performances. We're going to get into a whole bunch of loveliness. But at the same time, it's all godly. So with that being said, Sound Minds it is. Y'all welcome to Sound Minds, the reunion, the family. Welcome on Sunday, 7 p.m. Salute. My brothers, please introduce yourselves.
On our first to the top right, next to Kaim.
Oh, that would be me?
Yeah.
All-knowing, a.k.a. academics, a combination of diverse elements mix. You know what I mean? One half of the acolytes. You know how we do.
Yes, sir. And Zaquan.
Peace, y'all. Zaquan, the Beat Abbott. Man, happy, just a member of something that has been so intrinsic in my life, and just happy to be affiliated with such amazing and beautiful brothers. You know, Sound Minds, I've always been, just needed to attach a name to it. And then from there, it's just been the energy of my brothers and how we give this light to the earth. Sound Minds, bro. Sound. I'm, by the way, sorry, Beat Master, Beat Abbott. Without you brothers with the vocals, there would be no me. So that's
Nice. Man, listen, who we got?
Who's gonna go up? Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it real quick.
I don't think he can hear us. He's having some technical difficulties. Nas is having some technical difficulties right now. Can you hear us, Nas?
I'm definitely having some technical difficulties. It's like it's echoing and chopping, so I'm not necessarily understanding what's being said. I can hear, but I'm not understanding what's going on.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself.
I'm gonna try to exit the room and come back in. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
We hear you.
I'm gonna try to leave and come back in.
That's perfectly fine. Make sure, listen, family, bear with us with these technical difficulties, because this is our first time having more than five guests on one episode. This is our first time testing StreamYards, you know, to see how many people can it hold and how it affects the stream. So work with us through this one. We gonna get through it. Definitely, if you need to come out, if you need to go out and come back in, do it as many times as you need to. You gonna always we here.
Okay, say that.
Let us know how it's working. You know what I mean? Make sure y'all hitting up everybody on IG, Facebook,
it's
Twitter,
definitely trying now.
YouTube. Let them know it's live. Let them know we rocking for like an hour, 90 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, this is the episode not to be missed. Hit them up right now. Hit them likes and hearts, because it passes the algorithm. Let's take over right now.
Definitely. So just so that we get it out the way real quick, it's XL. What's cracking, cuz? It's XL in the building, representing the Lower East Side. Right quick, proud member of Sound Minds Collective. I was brought in on the humble, but I'm happy to be here. Didn't even realize that my brothers were doing the thing the way that they were doing the thing back in the day. But once I became aware, it was only right to turn around and embrace the strength and the magnetic energy that was going on between them. And we'll get into those dynamics a little later. But I just want to also acknowledge the love that Sound Minds has shown over the years to the things that I've been doing personally, and making sure that Sound Minds is represented at the table. You know what I mean? Because as they say, if you ain't at the table, you on the menu, right? And my brothers are definitely at the table. Also salute to the podcast that my brothers have been doing. It's a powerful thing. The voices have been heard, issues have been touched on, knowledge has been dropped, and people have been polishing those jewels as they move forward. So I want to thank you all.
And we
Facts.
And we got our brother Nas is back.
Yeah, I'm back in the building, but it's still choppy in my eardrum.
Okay.
Hold on, let me try something. Let me try it without the headphones.
No, if you I already hear music in the background. If you have music in the background, your microphone is picking up the music in the background, so it's probably chopping it up for you.
Yeah, I'm in a music studio right now in Brooklyn.
Dope.
Some cats is recording music right now as we speak.
Peace,
our brother Substantial.
Yeah,
Substantial.
Peace. Good to see y'all, man.
What up, son?
Chilling. All right.
We at the intro stages, brother. So just introduce yourself. Now, Sanimo got to introduce himself as well, but he got some musical situations going on behind him, so he gonna get that in and let it be known who he really is, man. Because the man's word spit and his word play is disgusting. So, but go ahead,
right,
let's finish introductions.
Sure.
Okay. Peace. This is Substantial, all the way from the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Yeah, man, happy to be with you good brothers, man. It's been a good minute, you know what I mean? But man, good to see y'all. All right.
That's what's up. Nas, can you hear?
I can hear, but it's still chopping on my end. It's definitely like
Well, give your intro, because we could hear you. We could hear you loud and clear. It's just messing up your feedback on your end.
All right.
But
tell
us a little bit about what you're doing right now. For those that don't know.
Who's going?
I can't even. I'm
hit them in the private
hear
chat.
Me, but I'm gonna leave and try and come back in again.
Okay.
All right, so while he does that, man, before he introduces himself, ZQ is being very humble and very moderate. You know what I mean? Very modest. He's the producer extraordinaire, spitter. You know what I mean? XL is, I always call him the president. You know what I mean? My brother, he leads and moves mountains with the way he just moves, man. It's always been one of the most extravagant ways I've ever seen anybody move. That's why it's always love when I see him, and you know, it's just always love in general, man. But I think for the most part, we're gonna get into a track that he kind of brought part 2 of, which was there was a part 1, to bring forth Lower East Side unity amongst a lot of us who probably weren't getting together before this. You know what I mean? So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna get into the history of Sound Minds. We're gonna get into a whole bunch of things, man. Substantial. The presence is a blessing, brother. For you to be up in here, man. You know what I mean? Gracing us with that Barry White voice, man. And we ain't even get into the lyrics yet. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? The ladies always love South. You know what I mean? So, but we gonna get into that, man.
And production as well. Like, the stars are shining bright here. Like, everybody really being humble at this point. But throughout this episode, we're gonna talk about it. But everybody being very humble. You know what I mean? Some of the greatest.
Word. It's so let's get into it, man. It's Sunday evening, you know what I mean, on the just celebrating this family get-togethers and all that, man, and you know, so it was a must that we brought forth the Sound Minds family together, man, and you know what I mean, on the Voltron, as Kahin itself is holding up his sweater, you know what I'm saying, the Voltron mentality where it was kind of like every single samurai and assassin that had their specialty was ill with their sword and whatever weaponry that they used, you know what I'm saying? But to come together as a unit and be able to build as black and brown brothers, as we're not, and I always say this, we're not known to be the ones to build together because they're always expecting us to kill each other and always expecting us to be negative against each other. But this was a unit that was never the case, you know what I mean? And every open mic we had and every show we had, mic clashes, the MC battles, everything was always love. There was never no violence, never no stupidity. And anytime anybody did act up, make sure that they definitely did get grabbed by the collar and rectified real quick. You know what I'm saying? So, but nonetheless, let's tell our story, man. Let's talk about what this SoundMinds thing really is.
So before I say anything, I want to try to go backwards in time. So I want to start with XL. And I want y'all to tell us the first moments that you was introduced, what you thought of it. You know what I mean? In fact, I can't actually do that. I gotta start with Rye because Rye is really the newest member. Even though for the podcasters, he's like they know him as the main soundbite. You know what I mean? He's actually the youngest and newest member. So Rye, real quick, tell us your first. Then we're gonna go to XL, and then we'll go backwards through time. You know what I mean? And like that.
So you saying how it came together, how I ended up being a piece of the Voltron? It started meeting you, good brother. Like our brother rap poet, self-suffice. You know what I mean? Like the open mics at Trinity, to then us teaching in the schools together, like. Then on top of that, us working in the studio together, automatically you already saw it in your mind and knew it was like, yo, brother, you sound minds, man. You always was saying that to me before I even knew what sound minds was. You know what I mean? It was like, yo, you sound minds, man. You so sound minds. I'm like, all right. And then you was like, yo, let's do. Then we just grew it and turned it into something and said, let's do something with it. So. I was more just inspired from the energy that you brought to it, and on top of that, then letting me know the history of it and saying that it came from a group of brothers doing it in the LES. You know what I mean? Hosting shows and things of that nature. It was like, and on top of that, just being a cipher in itself, being a true representation of a cipher. That's something that you always was stressing about SoundMinds. You know what I mean? So that. I'm here. I'm a lyrical healer. I call myself the lyrical healer. You feel me? I'm a songwriter, singer, rapper, producer, video editor, and sound engineer. So, you know what I mean? Author. Kind of do a little bit of everything.
And I apologize for late because the whole initiation for Rob was kind of sneaky. Like you said, for a minute I've been like, yo, this dude is SoundMinds. And it was like, I'm gonna look real crazy if I've been saying this and then I give him the wrong look, you know what I'm saying? So I hit Light and we was like, yo, Light, spit a verse on this track, whatever. Light spit a verse on his phone, not even knowing what I was up to. You took it like within 30 minutes, you know what I mean? Before I even told him I was at your crib, you took it better than I, made it sound like a produced track. I emailed it back to him. I was like, Light, what you think of this? Light was like, who's this? This is me? You took the joint I did on my phone, made it sound. So like, based on how you made it sound like he had really recorded in the studio, from that reaction, that's how I snuck up on Light and was like, yo, the brother that did this, he got a verse for this too, SoundMinds. And as long as my memory could recall, Light was instantly like,
Nah, 100%. And I think that the craziest thing about it was, and the beauty of it is, SoundMinds has always been, it's not about what you can do on a physical level. It's your spirit. It's about the ability to mentally be as strong as your body would allow, and even beyond that. You know what I mean? And meeting meeting Rob from that instant on, it was just kind of like, damn, he's really about what we represent. So by all means, it was a blessing. Then we came up with the podcast and said, yo, right now we under a pandemic, we under this COVID. Let's start a new platform, you know what I mean, and bring forth what the open mics, and which we're gonna get into too, bring forth what the open mics used to be and try to give a platform and a stage for people to get their voices out on a different level. You know what I mean? And on top of that, bring forth the unit so that we could start working on, you know, musical projects and so on and so forth. So instantly it was kind of like a match made in heaven type. You know what I mean? So Ty, how about you, brother? I remember, man, talk on your memories, B, because
oh my goodness,
you got some stories.
Okay, so well, I have just a few, and not to hold anybody, but that's what we're here for, right? So I had the pleasure of meeting my brothers for the first time through Dre's cousin, right, too, as well as Kenny, right? Everybody hanging out around Cassandra, who was definitely doing things up with peer leadership and coming off of the NADAP stuff. So a lot of us were peer leaders inside the community, trying to raise awareness for substance abuse and HIV and things of that nature. However, what sparked me is because we came off of that experience, whenever I was introduced to Light Skin and Brother Jay, they were doing a show with Barclay, right, at CBGB's. And so I came out to the show. I'm saying to myself,
rest in peace,
man,
CBGB's.
I'm like, this is gonna be some stuff, right? You know, there are people in the world that don't even know what CBGB's is, right? Mm-hmm. So look it up, Google it, right? So the brothers were rocking out at CBGB's, place where Blondie used to turn around and rock out. One of the first females to turn around and bless the mic as far as on wax and stuff like that. But you guys were doing your show, and I was amazed just to turn around and be in there because the energy that was going on was conscious, you know, and individuals were rhyming on the level that I felt it should be on in the first place. And not only that, but then what wound up happening, and this is just, you know, my funny experience with it all, is that at one point during your set, the females in the audience threw their panties at the stage on some Tom Jones stuff, and I was you know, shocked because I was like, that's real love. That your true fans, your true supporters came out in agreement. Hey, this is what we're gonna do. And as you guys were performing that number, they all just threw their panties at the stage, and I was like, you know what? It must be amazing if you can have a bunch of women just throw their panties on the stage. There was one or two bloomers, but for the most part, it was a beautiful look. For the most part, it was a beautiful look.
Whoa.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, and even since then, I had also the good fortune of being able to have Light Skin on the first roll call, and then because he was so kind enough to bless us with his presence on the first roll call, then I called in two more brothers along with Light Skin to be on the second roll call, which was a beautiful thing. And then I made sure that all of y'all were together, because it is Sound Minds, and people need to know where Sound Minds is at on the track, you know what I mean? Just so that they can turn around and continue to show that love. And then the rest of the brothers, you know, I was also happy to turn around and meet at various times. And it's just been a beautiful experience ever since. So I just want to thank you guys.
So I'm gonna we're gonna get into that track too. I'm gonna prefix that story that XL just told, and that was before we were married men, and that was when we were very much enjoying just life. So the panty story is not a myth. It is very real, but it was way before Light Skin had children and Light Skin had a wife. And, you know, so with that being said, it was dope to see that. So to speak upon it, disclaimer. I had to put that out there. So also, and CBGB's was the one. You know what I mean? And I think that we even got to get into that because, and I'm glad you brought up that name too. To XL, we definitely gonna get into that name as well. So also let it be known that CBGBs actually happened because at that time we was doing a lot of our the mic classes at New Eurekan and as well as Pyramid. And then EOW, shout out to EOW, man. As a matter of fact, XL, you very yeah, definitely. So, at that time too, EOW started taking over the Pyramid, and it was like, damn, this is so dope. Let's kind of like extend. And then the CBGBs thing, so for those who don't know CBGBs was straight up known for rock and roll. So when we first stepped to them on it, they were like, yo, listen, man, you to us, hip hop is a joke. We'll give you the night, see what it is, see what y'all bring, and see what the energy's like. And then after that, from that first night, we just started rocking there on a monthly basis. You know what I mean?
Yo,
and then
that's an understatement, because like I don't wanna overstate it, but like for y'all to understand, CBG's was like a legendary rock venue, punk venue, grunt, you know what I mean? So it was like for them to not really have hip hop, it wasn't like they hadn't considered it. It was like these cats was really at the heart of when hip hop was first getting into labels like Beastie Boys and everything. They was already with that, so they had felt like the hip hop they was hearing was already like out of whack and too commercialized and all that. So for them to give us a chance, it wasn't like they didn't know what it was, but they actually was like a little bit out of love with what was happening in hip hop at that point. You know what I mean? So I don't want to understate it. Like we actually went in there and we represented our culture. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's another example from what Light was saying. Like it wasn't just about music to us. It was a certain matter of like these principles that we got with hip hop, having respect for our community, making sure that our people isn't played like. Part of that was getting in these different venues and trying to open it for people that was doing what we was doing. You know what I'm saying?
So if I may, really quick, CBGB's is also home to a lot of famous rock groups. So a lot of people, such as the Ramones, for example. So a lot of rock groups actually went to CBGB's, even country groups went to CBGB's to try and break into the industry, because that was one of the places. Hey, have you played CBGB's before in New York? For them to get known, for them to get discovered. And so even them opening up a night in which SoundMinds had the opportunity to present more of the hip hop was a big thing, because they had so many rock groups that wanted to perform. They could have easily filled any night of the week, but they made space. And a part of people making space is also, the history. Blondie was a big rock name at the time. She was a big music name at the time, and she did the song. Oh, whoa! This is history right here. Just dawned, but we're gonna tie it in right now. Blondie did the song "Rapture," the original, right, with Fat Five Freddy. You know what I mean? And DJ Flash. Right. And so what wound up happening is whenever we did the roll call, I took the beat that KRS-One did, because KRS-One did a remix to the song Rapture that Blondie did, Blondie performing at CBGB's. Right. And because CBGB's is also down here on the Lower East Side, I said, what better track to represent the Lower East Side than something that's been banging with hip hop since its first inception. And those, you see the gray right here, right? So those individuals who are old enough to know, here in New York, we had a show called Hot Tracks that used to come on Channel 7, right? And so Hot Tracks at the time, whenever Blondie turned around and dropped that album, Hot Tracks was showing the video. And so you could turn around and see elements of it down here as well. So it was just a big thing and a big night. So big up to CBGB's, which is no longer with us now. SoundMinds had the pleasure of blessing the place before it closed, which is a landmark.
This is something that I appreciate already about what's going on right now on this podcast is the history that's being shared. For me as a new member, quote unquote member, is like, brother, as more than anything, like of this whole thing is like, to hear that SoundMinds has a history and and it was on the ground. You know, y'all was on the ground with it before we have this internet buzz and Sound Minds podcast take off. You know what I'm saying? There was literally Sound Minds on the ground in a historical spot that we can connect history to hip hop and music all day.
And not only that, but for the most part, like the history of like the open mics that we did, the mic clashes and all that, man, Substantial was one of like, and we definitely got to hear from Substantial too, man. Substantial would come through, bless the joint, you know what I mean? And then we had a lot of what is now known as an MC battle is not what we knew it as. You know what I mean? Like if myself, let's just say myself and my partner, so I am the other half of Acolytes. If me and Academics are battling, it's going to be based off of what we wearing. So he'll get at me on some, you know, you got something brag, work the mother, go off the head. And it was just all straight off the dome. Whereas now the MC battles are people taking 3 months to find out where your grandmother lives, how she got gout in her left foot and all that, and then try to be disrespectful with it. Whereas with us, it was really competitive where we had people like Substantial, Jen DMC, he came up from Florida just to be a part of the joints, and he rocked out. I think he even won a couple of the joints. The Plague was in there. The Hand, Stronghold was up in there, you know what I mean? And there was Writers Guild and Lifelong. And so it was all these MCs, and it was always nothing but love. You know what I'm saying? And I think the dope thing about it was, and I definitely would love to go to Substantial with this one, man. But I think the dope thing about it was that camaraderie that was kind of built, despite the fact that we was all men of respect or MCs of respect. Not only men, because we had some dope female MCs as well. But the sport never really got our heads gassed up where it was just like, yo, I don't like what he said about my sneakers. Let me go see him afterwards. You know what I mean? So Substantial, if you could, brother, speak on that time too.
Yeah, man. It's crazy you talking about like how the MC battle like has evolved, right? Like it's interesting to see like what it is now. It's very much like prize fighting and stuff, right? Where it's like, you know who you're gonna fight, got some time to do some research and stuff, develop, yourself to kind of adapt to what they do and address them a certain way based on the history you have. Where back then it was just like, man, I didn't know who I was going to be going up against until they said our names a lot of times, especially in the beginning, like when the joint first start, you know what I mean? Like you don't know who you're going to get called up, who's going to get called up there with you. But then, of course, the night would go on and, you know what I mean? It'd be less and less folks left or whatever. And then you kind of get an idea. And now you got some time to kind of adapt and maybe think a little bit about what you're going to say about this particular dude or that one, because you know it's going to either be one of them, right? But yeah, man, it was I think of EO Dub and how they used to call their studio the dojo, right? Like all these open mics, all of it, man, it was training grounds. And when I build with like younger MCs and rappers, a lot of times when I'm talking to them about their presentation and getting their bars up and all of these different things, the importance of those type of spaces and really being able to kind of exercise your ability and learn how to adapt in certain situations, and being able to have that balance on top of being able to write great music. You know what I mean? When the time comes for that too. But I just felt like that era, man, created some extremely well-rounded artists. You know what I mean? Like, Full Circle can give you bars in the cipher, can tear your head off on the stage, you know what I'm saying? Can write a great song, can do all of these things and learn how to move in all of these different spaces. And man, the open mics that y'all had along with EOW, the joints at New Eureka and all of these different spots, man, like to keep it a buck with y'all, man, to even be up here building with y'all right now and thinking about, because I was an outsider for the most part, like coming up from where I'm from in Maryland, to come up in New York, you know what I mean, the home of like where it all started, and to be able, to rub elbows with brothers like y'all, and and then eventually be able to run with the Plague and all of these different crews, and for people to look at me and give me respect and recognize me as one of their brothers. You know what I mean? It was a huge honor because, again, like it's not that these things didn't exist where I was from, but not in the capacity of what it was in New York. Like it didn't have the volume of New York. It didn't have the amount of competition. It wasn't as many people doing it. So to get respect in that arena during those times, you know what I mean? Shout out to Lyricist Lounge as well, to get respect amongst all of these greats that came up. Like, yo, you had to be doing something major. Like it was no question if you was nice, you know what I'm saying? Because you walk out there and I could get dapped up by any of y'all, but then you might see, one of the brothers from the Bush Babies, just like low key, you know what I mean, in the spot, most or somebody like any given night. And so yeah, man, I never took it lightly. And man, I'm grateful for all y'all brothers, man, and I appreciate y'all having me up here with y'all. You know what I mean?
Yo, thank you, brother. And I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat. Our guest from last week was Tremaine France. Crazy podcast episode. If y'all didn't catch that, tune in. We got Matt Severman. Everybody in the chat, please share this. This is going to be a beautiful moment where it's not so much about the theory, as much of us paying respect to people who made us what we are and gave us hope in something that was becoming increasingly materialistic. We really imbuing you with the soul and heart of why we had the power to do that and why we smiling right now. You know what I'm saying? But before I shed a tear, I just wanted to give that commercial message for everybody. Post this. We see you in the comments. We're gonna be posting some of your comments. Ra is on the side. He's checking out your comments, posting them live, your questions as well. We just going through Substantial. I got a question for you for a little bit later.
Okay.
So because exactly what you started dovetailing into, you coming from another area, but learning that discipline. And since then, I seen you randomly, like between doing shows in different places. I might be in a different city, and I'll see you, and your skills were sharpened to the max. You know what I mean? And you've always been my brother. I've always been proud of you. So I'm gonna talk to you about that in a second. I want to say, as we're moving backwards, let's go to Son Tsunami. You know what I mean? What was your earliest memory of SoundMinds? You know what I'm saying?
Project ACO.
Project ACO.
I mean, the earliest moments, I would say when we were rocking out at Bar 169. You know what I mean? Like that was probably my earliest memory. I mean, it was the first time me and Light. It's crazy because it was the first time me and Light actually connected and started working together was at Bar 169, because we used to just rap in the basketball court with each other. It wasn't even like we really was like, doing tracks and stuff like that on another level, because me and ZQ were part of another crew at one point. You know what I mean? And when the deals and stuff that came across the table for us just wasn't feeling right and everything, and we was just doing our own thing at the time. And I used to go to play ball and run into Light, and me and Light, we sit there, and Light was like, "Yo, you rap?" I was like, "You rap?" It's kind of like, ha. He's like, "You got blunt, you got smoke," you know what I mean? And it was kind of like that. And then we connected like that, and then all of a sudden it was like, "Yo, we doing this open mic at 169. Let's all get together." And matter of fact, we were standing outside your building, and we was talking about it that night. That's my earliest memory of when SoundMinds actually begun, because it was that night. After 169, when we said, "Yo, let's do this like on a serious note and like keep rocking as a unit," and I was like, "Yo, I'm with it." You know what I mean? Not to mention,
that's so crazy.
Yeah, me and Light had, Light's cousin, god brother. His god brother was doing music. You know what I mean? And they had a crew, and they were doing stuff, and we was in the videos with them and stuff like that. And it was just like, yo, why don't we start working together? You know what I mean? And like 169 seriously was it. Rest in peace to Markel. You know what I mean? He was the man at the door at the time. He used to do it for us and get us in there. And I remember the last time we did 169, right? These dudes came and said some nonsense like, "Oh yeah, we don't think this is your crowd." And we was like, "Don't think this is our crowd. We take any crowd you put in front of us." We rocked in front of a church group and rocked it, you know what I mean? And we edited ourselves, but it was still dope enough that they felt us afterwards. You know what I mean? And for me, that was like my earliest memories of SoundMinds. Is like from the ground up. You know what I mean? Like literally, I said it that night. I was like, I feel like Kaim pulled me out the toy box. I was in the toy box for years and wasn't really doing nothing no more. And then Kaim was like, yo, let's do the SoundMinds thing, and pulled me right out the box. I was like, all right, let's go. We ready to rock. Let's move.
It's crazy you say that, though, because it's like
just kept it moving that way.
Yo, I know you to do, but I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about some of what I seen you doing afterwards too, which was like on a whole new level of like you was up on the online growing of the battle culture before it even popped. You recognize it through this internet. We had these small ass apartments in the LES. Like I remember ZQ when I went back and checked you, you know what I'm saying? And you was, you know, chilling together. Y'all was doing your thing, producing or whatever on your producer, you know what I mean, extravaganza tour. When I came back from being in Connecticut for a minute, I was like, yo, I used to live in a small ass place like this. But what I'm saying is you went through that computer screen, and from that small ass apartments that we was in, you reached the world, my G. Before, and that was like looking back at it now, you from the future for that. Like there's people who have never been to an open mic in a stage right now. You know what I'm saying? Because of you like taking it seriously and bringing the energy that you had from live shows to the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we're gonna talk about that too. But thank you for bringing up 169. Thank you, you know, for bringing up the fact that like we had people who we knew was involved in undesirable lifestyles outside, but as soon as they came into our venues, it was almost like a salvation. It was love. They would be on their best behavior, and that's a credit to us, I think, upholding that tradition of the cipher of hip hop, where we knew if we created this space where the energy was something positive to do, it didn't matter who you was outside the cipher. You was given a chance to do something better and to contribute within the cipher.
Right.
So thank you for bringing that up.
Facts.
And I think, and you know, the dope thing about that story is, right, because me and Dre, me and Echo, we played ball for so many years together. You know what I mean? Like it started in New York City streets, and shout out to Rutgers Community Center, man, on the Lower East Side. That's where we did most of the balling, and it was just kind of like through balling, you know, that was for a minute, man, that became our Karl Malone. You know what I mean? I was out there with the John Stockton, just, you know, just passing out, and then so we was killing like that, and then just getting together and was like, yo, you spit? Yeah, you spit? Yo, all right, cool. We got together, did 169, rocked out. I think we did those on a weekly basis. You know what I mean? Then it became a monthly basis. And then through that, the history of that started the accolades, which is crazy because it was just, for the most part, it was like, yo, the way we play ball, it's only right that we rock out on the stage the way we do it together. That chemistry was already there. And then we was going through and me and Akko was talking about that earlier today, how we came up with the name. Because I remember him working in the spot, and it was by my school, and during my lunch break, went to see my brother and see what's up. And we was like, yo, man, we got to come up with a name. So a couple of names came through, you know what I mean? We was like, yo, Forces of Nature. We was like, yo, that sounds dope, right? But damn, they got a movie out like with I don't even know who's in the movie. It might have been Ben Affleck. And it was just like, yo, nah, that's trash. And then we came up with, you know, my brother was like, yo, what's up with Acolytes? You know what I mean? From Marvel. You know what I mean? And it was like, yo, let's go with it. We are the acolytes of hip hop. We represent hip hop. You know what I'm saying? He's academics. I'm light skinned. Put those together as acolytes. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, the wrestling group came out and they were acolytes. And it was like, yo, we out here. So that's how acolytes kind of came about. You know what I'm saying? Where we was rocking shows 45 minutes off the head, man, on any given night, anytime with CBGBs. The sound man became part of our show because their sound system would knock off every time we was on there. Then we go off the head on him. You know what I mean? And he start playing with it, and he start, yo, I'm a part of the group now. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So
one thing that I do here, you know, I mean, I'm in the room with like some true spitters, and that's what I call, you know, cats that really just jump on stage and just go off the top, don't need no warning. You know what I mean? Like me, I'll be like, I'll be trying to think about what I wrote last night or what I wrote last week. No, like when y'all say I jumped up and freestyle, like, do you mean to tell me y'all really were just straight off the top of the dome, not remembering what you wrote for 45 minutes straight, like you just freestyle? Come on, like this is so the true definition of true spitters is what I'm trying to get to. So if we really want to know what a true definition is, look at this example of these stories that these brothers is sharing right now, man. Hit that like button, Sound Minds.
Yeah, and it's funny because
that chemistry was so crazy because I didn't know that until this moment. I always thought that Sun Tsunami and Light Skin was a group like from way before, not knowing that I knew ZQ before, like from production. You know what I'm saying? And then like that's crazy. That just shows the power of that cipher, bro. Like I instantly thought that y'all had been having groups and albums and EPs. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how it came together.
Nah, me and ZQ were part of a group first, and we were part of a group called Last Evan Soldiers. If you look at that, it meant Lower East Side. It was actually LES, and it was Last Evan Soldiers. So we were part of a group with two of our other brothers, and that's actually how I met you, Kai, is through ZQ. You know what I mean? Because I remember meeting you at Henry Street. You know what I mean? So like, and that's basically where that came from. So that was actually the only like solidified group that I was in before SoundMinds was with ZQ. You know what I mean?
Yo, and Henry Street is crazy. I remember when we did, Zaquan, Sun Tsunami just gave you the alley-oop, you know what I'm saying? So like you gotta talk about what SoundMinds was, and then a little sprinkle of how you even had the LES group. You know what I mean? Before you know what I mean? Y'all was connected to 3 different linkages in the spider web. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, before you go into that though. Before you go into that. He ain't do all this production stuff as much as he do it now, right? I'm putting him on the spot. Yo, first of all, ZQ was a spitter before he was a producer. And the boy was probably the best spitter in our crew.
Hell no.
He used to make me go back and rewrite shit. Like it was like my bad. Like I used to literally go back after hearing him do a verse when he was writing a song. I would go back and rewrite whatever the hell I wrote because of listening to his verse. So all right, go ahead and talk about your music, do a bunch of beats now, because I just want everybody to know
you're me. So that's this is how I actually like got started, and you know, Kay knows a little bit about this premature history before I flipped and changed my expressive outlet. Let's just say that. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's how I felt. Like, by the way, that's how I felt about Dre. Like Dre dropped these just like darts, man. It was just like, you know what I mean? Like it was like fuck. And then Beatty was the dude that made me feel like I was the worst MC ever. Beatty, dude. And you know how long it took him to write his verses, right? Like 15, 20 minutes. All the time. It never took him long to write his verses. And the verses were like just unbelievably fire. It's like, oh man, dude, come on, man. That's not fair. But Dre dropped a little bit about what happened with us. Like, we was like, there was 4 of us, and you know what I mean? And we had a little crew going on, and we got to a point to where we even got presented with a deal and everything. But it, like Dre said, it just wasn't right. You know what I mean? So we passed on it, and then all right, and then this is when the Convergence comes in after this, actually. So this is when I had my spot in Baruch, and I applied for this job to work part-time.
Baruch Projects, LES.
Yep.
By the river.
You know what I mean? And so I applied to work for this job part-time. for this poet. I don't know. Everybody know her name, Jessica Care Moore. I shouldn't have to. And if and for
shout out to our sister Jessica Care Moore.
Word, peace, respect.
AKA you don't want to smoke.
And so I applied for a job to like just help her out, with whatever she needed part time. And now this is the crazy thing. Like this was uptown. This is not in the LES. This is uptown at that. So I go up there and I'm doing my thing, whatever. And then I meet this cat. This one over here. The guy with the K in his name starts with a K. and we get to talking and everything. And he's like, yo, I'm an MC. I'm like, a word. I do a little thing or whatever. And and then I hear this cat spit. I was like, all right, I'm an MC, but yeah, I don't know. And Kaim can attest to like my short-lived period of being an MC. I went from being an MC to kind of, slipping into more of a poetry thing. And then, bro, I had started making beats on like a Dell. I think it was like a Pentium 2 processor, bro.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was using Cakewalk 2. I was making beats with my computer board, not even a computer keyboard, my computer board, bro. I was making beats with that. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, yo, this is like, that was like half of it. It was like, yeah, this is really, really nice. I really like this. This is really great. And then Kay, again, my brother, this is the SoundMinds link. He said, yo, you should use this program called DOP. And what that allowed me to do was begin to sample. And that was it, man. That was it. That was it.
Flux. Shout out to Turtle Studios, Voyetra Productions. The only reason I hate y'all is because y'all stopped selling that program. If y'all still had that program,
absolutely,
we would still be using it now. Like,
absolutely.
You know how many years I went to get a bootleg old version and find older computers to make that work? Like Digital Orchestrator Plus, Turtle Studios, Voyetra, the way you could loop beats while producing, while messing with the beat, while keeping it loop, the way you could shorten the loop length, the way like, yo, Digital Orchestrator Plus. And I know ZQ's overseas, so he's coming in and out. Let me say the same exact thing that Tsunami said, that ZQ said. Shout out to Steve-O, shout out to Shorty Black's uncle. You know what I mean? That's really who looked out for him. And rest in peace. You know what I mean? He met an untimely fate. He was really like the big professional dude in our neighborhood at that time. He let us come to his crib. He was scratching records. He was a real turntablist. He had all these connections. He knew cats like Fat Joe. You know what I mean? He was like the really hip hop connect in the hood. And then unfortunately, he met an untimely fate. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to say shout out to him, because it's so many things that happen when you're younger that you might take for granted. But honestly, looking back, if somebody like that wasn't in our neighborhood, we probably wouldn't have had that real connection to like really being able to connect to the industry and be professionals like that. You know what I'm saying? So when Steve-O passed, I saved up my money for my little after school gigs and bought the first thing I could get, a MIDI controller. It came with this software called Digital Orchestrator Plus. And lo and behold, this was the best thing ever. But I just want to say, like, when I was using that and I met ZQ, I had found one thing. You got timbre, which is the sounds, right? 10 people could sing the birthday song, but they'll have different voices, right? Like on this call, Substantial got the golden voices you already heard. You know what I'm saying? So if you sing happy birthday, they're going to be throwing their bloomers like CBGBs, you know what I mean? But seriously, I walked in the Baruch projects and ZQ had this whole setup with the beats, you know what I mean? So I knew he was a little bit of MCing, but already from my perspective, I'm thinking he's just this crazy producer. And he had like 50 different tracks on the screen. It had like all these different patterns and whatnot. And I was like, yo, the beats isn't sounding like completely fleshed out, but the arrangement of the beats and the timing and the yo, what do you call the harmony, right? The way it plays against each other was sick. The only problem is the sound sets was also MIDI. And for those who don't know what MIDI means, it's a language, but the sounds everyone was using, I think Swiss Beats was the only person that had rocked it to make it sound good, right? So basically what it means, there's no fundamental frequency in these notes. They all sounded like real high. So a guitar sounded like this, bing! A bass sounded like this, bing! A flute sounded like this, bing! And it was like you only knew it was a flute because it said flute on it. So he had ding, 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 ding. And I was like, yo, my G. I hit him with all the stuff that I had worked up from after Steve-O passed, working up to getting the Def Jam jail, getting good enough to produce on his that. But it was really just because we didn't have a producer. I was like, yo, take my drums, take my sounds, take these with that same arrangement you're doing. And I say all of this for one reason. Within 24 hours of me giving him those sounds and taking the arrangement, because if you could, this is the gem for all the young people getting started out there. If you could do a lot with less, whether it's equipment, whether it's less in general, you're a killer. And within 24 hours of taking the sounds that I thought I sounded good with and giving it to him, I quit becoming a producer. Facts. I walked back in and the stuff he was doing with the sounds I had, I was like, oh, I'm not even that nice as a producer. Like I'm an MC. I get the vibe. I know what to rock with, and my sounds is good. He's actually a producer with these sounds. You know what I mean? So I just want to say that because the compliments y'all was giving, like twice to you. As soon as you took the sounds I was trying to produce with, I quit producing and stuck to MCing.
We got a dope question in the chat. Dope question from Tremaine France, and this is to any of the brothers that have had a deal or passed on a deal. Do you regret passing on a deal or opportunity, and what is the lesson you learned? This is a gem. Who would like to go first?
I'll go.
And then let's go to substantial.
Absolutely.
Sub, you going? Okay, go ahead.
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
I thought one of y'all was going and then coming to me. All right. Yeah. I mean, deals. Let's see. I want to say I cut my first demo when I was like maybe 15. So I basically had been courted, for lack of a better word, by major labels from the time I was 15 up until I was like maybe 19, 20 years old. Several major labels. And then the first deal I actually took was with Nujabes. I saw somebody in the chat shout him out. And that brother had a record label in Japan. And so it wasn't just a deal. He was actually flying me out to Japan to record. So it was a way different experience, right? Like the major labels, of course, had more money, but that cultural experience that I got, being able to work with the brother in Japan and be out there for like a month at a time every time I go, I feel like those moments, what it meant to my career now, like working with him and what that music has become, and God rest his soul, like since he's passed on, like the legend that has existed around him, like that. I mean, there's no regrets in taking that deal. I don't regret passing on the deals prior to that either, because I feel like part of the reason why I've been able to exist successfully as an indie artist you know, is because of what I learned not working with those companies, learning how to read contracts and having the experience of reading contracts since I was 15 years old, like knowing what language to look for, avoiding words like in perpetuity, you know what I'm saying? And understanding that, you know, it's great that they state what the pay schedule is, but if there are no dates along with that pay schedule, that's probably a problem. You know what I mean? And so, and then it just put me in a better position as I started working with indie labels going forward. And best of all, deciding not to go the route that I definitely had the opportunity to go. I mean, I look back in 20 plus years as a professional MC, literally being able to say, yo, I own 90+% of my catalog. And so if something happens to me, my family ain't got to make no phone calls. You know what I mean? Because, you know, like my wife and I, from the knowledge I learned and the knowledge she learned as a visual artist and someone who's supported creatives in different capacities, like we created a business that now supports other creatives. And like, yo, so like all of that money from the years of putting in and stuff like that, it comes directly through our business to us. And we ain't got to deal with a lot of the, you know, the BS that I see so many brothers and sisters go through. You know what I mean? I literally saw someone complaining on Twitter today talking about, like, you know, how much they're making per stream and how their first check looked like this. And I'm just like, yo, either you do math really horribly or you got a really terrible deal. And I'm just blessed that was not my situation. It's dope to be able to have all this salt and pepper in my bed and not be a bitter ass dude. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm grateful for that.
Wisdom. Wisdom right there.
Yo, I just want to say we wanted to bring you on a future season, so I'm just putting you on the spot to let you know about in terms of how you cultivate for other artists, because we're gonna do a whole season about cultivating other artists, and you become an institution in that. So
hey,
thank
man,
you, bro.
you are. Look, say less. It's already done. Just let me know.
Tsunami.
Yeah. I could say no regrets at all at the deals that came across to us, because a lot of them were very shady. You know what I mean? I had the blessings that my mom worked for music lawyers. You know what I mean? And she worked for one Michael Turok. If you go and do your research on him, was Kid and Play's lawyer. He was Lisa Cult Jam's lawyer. He was, you know, Bruce Springsteen's lawyer. You know what I mean? Like, so when we got the deals that came across the table for me, well, I had some back in high school, but then the one particular deal that we got, that me and ZQ had got, came across the table. I had him look at it. You know what I mean? And he looked at it and he saw, like Substantial said, all the stipulations and stuff that are in there that someone of a younger age wouldn't catch on to. We wouldn't notice, and because it's all legal jargon. And it's always gonna come in a 360 and back up on you, and you're not gonna be able to handle, you know what I mean, the output that they want from you. You know, and at the end of the day, you're not getting paid. You know what I mean? You're pretty much paying them to put your shit out. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like, yeah, there's no regret at all. In fact, I kind of looked at the dude that gave us the contract because he was one of our members' brother. I looked at him like he was crazy. You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that to us? You know what I mean? You know, this is your brother, and you're trying to shade your brother and his peoples. That's crazy. So I don't see no regrets in it at all. Honestly, I think, you know, you bringing up the whole internet thing, I think I personally achieved exactly what I was doing when I got into the music. You know what I mean? Because my mentality was never, I didn't want to be, you know, the Jay-Z's. I didn't want to be, you know, the Locks and the DMX's, and I didn't want to be those guys. All I wanted was for my stuff to be heard. You know what I mean? That's all I want. I wanted it to be heard, and for somebody else to be out there and connect with it. You know what I mean? So I honestly felt like I didn't need a deal for that. You know what I mean? And to this day, I don't feel like I needed a deal. I needed a deal for it. So I don't see there's any regret in it at all, because at the end of the day, my success mentally was achieved, you know.
That's dope, man. And then on top of that, there was the deal that could have happened, because what Akko's talking about is being heard and being part of a label that really respected the MCism and the art, the culture of the art. And there was a possibility of acolytes speaking to Rawkus representatives, you know what I mean? And Rawkus was all about that, you know what I'm saying? And a name that was brought up that, you know, for the most part, Bon Koulé, who for the most part, we were young kids, man. We was 18, 17. I was probably one of the youngest, 17, 18, 19 years old. And we were putting on these SoundMinds being our family, Bon Koulé being the older dude, was using us so that he could get his pockets filled. And, you know, one of the situations that was about to happen, Rawkus expressed some interest in acolytes. And Bon Koulé jumped up and was like, yo, nobody's talking to my artists unless you talk to me, and so on and so forth. We were never his artists. We was our own, you know what I mean, our own family. But that was one thing that kind of like, when you start realizing what the industry is and somewhat of what Substantial's talking about and what Akko's talking about, and even Kaheem for that, I mean, you know, Rap Poet for that matter, it's kind of like you start seeing like the industry's always been shady. You know what I'm saying? The industry's always been a disgusting cesspool of just a whole bunch of nonsense and snake biters. And, you know, we kind of, in a sense, kind of seen that on such a small level with the man I'm speaking of, Bon Koulé, you know, to the point where SoundMinds, once we started putting wind to words and understanding what it was that was going on behind our back, we kind of had to take the unit and say, yo, nah, we doing this on our own now. You know what I mean? Because people were filling their pockets lovely, while we were the ones back then. There was no internet. So whenever there was a mic clash or a SoundMinds show, it was just straight up us guerrilla marketing. We out there in the streets and you know, in Soho, we out there in, you know, Broadway Lafayette, we out there in all barbershops, we out there doing the footwork and giving out flyers for people to come through, while other people just sat back and was like, yo, wait until that happens. And then once the night was over, pockets were getting filled while we was being sent home with like a little, yo, good looking, y'all did a good job. Here goes $75. Here goes $100. While we bringing in money for the bar, that's another thing too. SoundMinds never been not one of which we don't necessarily represent that type of, you know what I mean? Like we was always been on some real empowerment. And so we sit here talking about, yo, do me a favor, man.
Yo, show your shirt.
Oh yeah, you already see it. You already know what it is. It's SoundMinds to the
show your shirt while you speaking on that.
You know what I mean? So, but the craziness is that while we were sitting on stage, it was like, yo, if y'all could, man, shout out the bar a little bit. Try to get some people at the bar. So we sitting there, and you know, literally, I remember me and Drake back and forth, like, all right. And again, me being young, but my mind has always been sound. You know what I mean? So spitting bars off of that, like, yo, nah, I don't drink, but if you can, go get two for your own. And you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, this is corny though, man. We sitting here doing this for somebody else to get their pockets fat while we sitting there being sent home with like a dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, back then, $75, $100, $150 was good. You know what I mean? For us, we was young, but it's crazy to hear these stories, man. And I love the fact that my brothers are sitting here saying, nah, I don't regret a thing. You know what I mean? Like, nah, those things didn't happen, and I'm glad they didn't happen. Substantial to hear you say you got 90% of everything that you earned, brother, is a blessing, because we already know the stories. You know what I mean? We already know how the Tribe Called Quest is and everybody else is trying to get off of their contracts. You know what I mean? I was watching the hieroglyphics, the hieroglyphics and the whole situation with Souls and Mysteries and how they went through their joint. You know what I mean? Like, it's love to hear that, man, because that's when you salute a true king on some, yo, you doing what I do, but you was ahead of the game and never got caught up on a contract. You know what I mean? So shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to us not needing to be regretful over stuff that didn't happen because we knew better. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being,
brothers like Tribe Called Quest too, hieroglyphics, all of them, like when they went,
they lost soul situation.
Shout us out. You know, the industry rule number 4080. So you want to be in the business, Diamond D, you know what I mean? All these cats that went through it and then through the actual industry instead of just shutting up. So, you know, my homie Mez, J. Cole got a song called Firing Squad. You know what I mean? And I remember one day Mez was just talking about how like a lot of people did not want them to release that song. You know, so I just want to say shout out to everybody who is on or isn't, but is our spiritual brothers and sisters in some way or not, even if we don't know you. Those people that go through it, and then you use the music to send a message to people who's about to go through the same thing you going through. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Yeah,
And what you doing substantial, like actually changing. Like I feel like with Sound Minds, what you were saying, like it was no longer open mic. It was also like an alternative to have to dealing with, because you're an artist, you get involved in shady dealings, right? Pardon me.
Yeah, yo, real quick, because I know we were talking about the internet as well, and harnessing that as a tool early. I wanted to just shout out my brothers Q&5 Music, man. Shout out Tone Deaf, Pack FM, you know, the homie Session, Mecca,
Kokai, you mean the Sound Minds Mike Clash champion?
Yeah, man. The homie. Man, shout out all the homies, kind of linguists from down south, all the homies. But yeah, man, like that era, it was a blessing, you know, like it was a blessing and a curse, right? Like to be on the internet and really leveraging it as a tool back then. Shout out to the Duck Down chat room, all of that. You know, because back then, if you was going too hard online and you were starting to create buzz for yourself online, you was called like a Netsy and you were borderline corny at that time. Yeah. But being able to leverage that early, being able to kind of get on that real estate, right? Be able to lock down your name and kind of really like plant roots, right? Like find roots in that early. And especially if you're a person, because man, I'm forever a student of the game, right? Like new information comes out, the industry changes like frequently. So like you gotta always be reading. And when these tools come, especially like nowadays, man, like there's so many tools that we can use that cost us nothing but time, right? It just costs you the time of educating yourself and being able to leverage that. And we were in that unique moment when it really kind of started shifting then. Right, like right when the open mic was happening, all of these different things that brothers was doing was right when that major shift was starting to really happen with the internet. And so yeah, man, like, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't shout those brothers out, because they're the ones that truly got me hip. Because, you know, dudes where I was from, you know, somebody talking shit online, like I don't know if we can curse or not. My bad if we can't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you good.
Yeah,
you
but
good.
man, people, you know, you seeing people talk reckless and talk all this shit online and different things happening, and you trying to be a peaceful dude. Like, for when I first moved up here, I ain't understand how that worked. I'm just like, wait a minute, hold on. I'm gonna see this person in real life. How are they saying these things like they aren't consequences? You know what I mean? But just kind of learning to navigate that world and learning how to leverage it, it put us at an advantage. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. Those like what we're doing right now, those seeds were planted back then. And who knew that it was going to be this? You know what I mean? And so yeah.
Yeah, right. You know the bonus rap. Matt said Pack and Fed.
Yeah.
Yo, and shout out to Born Talent too. I think Born Talent and Pack and Fed had one of our longest, like, you know, when a battle's tight and it goes into overrun, they must have went for like 8 overrun. I felt like it spilled outside in the venue. I might be remembering wrong, but I remember them being outside after the venue was closed, still trying to battle each other. You know what I mean?
Pac ain't take like, you know, he wasn't going to take an L, bro. Like it was not going to end. Even if he took the L, it was not going to end there. You know, I forgot how many times he won on 88 Hip Hop, man. Like he was undefeated on that joint for God knows how long, man. You know,
you know what's crazy?
Nasty forever.
With that being said, man, I swear to you, I'm about to buy a VCR. I got footage. I got footage of Academics versus Mecca. I got footage of, you know what I mean, Jen versus Manny Styles, and you know what I mean, Pumpkinhead and Poison. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this is yeah, man. Shout out to Pumpkin.
Rest in peace to Pumpkinhead.
My brother.
Actually, before we even get off the topic, when you talk about heads that like was showing us what it was like dealing with labels at a, like, he was the first cat that I saw who could come in the neighborhood, battle you on stage in the street, drop a hot record, put out a vinyl tour overseas, come back, and not be a cornball. You know what I'm saying? So I love you, brother. Wherever you at, like we very much influenced by you to this day, and love to your family. So thank you for bringing.
Shout out PH, man. He
Sure.
I got to be real with you, man. The beauty of it, right? Because when you look at, you know, certain people, man, you talking about lifelong breeze ever flown. We had him on the prior episode, man. Pumpkinhead, Immortal, Pat, Mecca's doing big things. He's been doing big things. And my man Mech, he got his you know, his joint on IG, always dropping gems. EO Dub, you know what I mean? Shout out to EO Dub, man, and everything. Sun Tzu doing things, vice versa. Rest in peace to vice versa, man. And it's crazy, man, because that brotherhood, right? And it was always love. Like, it was just always like, it wasn't, it's crazy because it was kind of like Warriors, the movie, you know what I'm saying? But dudes ain't have no static, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, yo, what up, Plague? SoundMinds here, how you doing? You know what I mean? And it was all love, you know what I mean? What up, EO Dub? And we all kind of like came together like it was never on some, yo, these dudes is corny because they this, that, and the third. I remember we used to do the open mic hopping. You know what I'm saying? We used to do the EO Dub, throw a SoundMinds show, and then go see you know, Stronghold at another spot and venue. You know what I mean? So, and it was all love, man. So with that being said, I gotta segue this to XL. My brother took a project twice. If I'm not mistaken, possibly 3 times, man. The Lower East Side, and people don't know, man, those who don't know about the Lower East Side, it has always been broken up between the Ave, Hill, Baruch projects. You know what I mean? You always had different spots that, depending on what side of the trails you was in, always had that beef. You know what I mean? Like, you walk around from the Hill to the Ave, it was just like, yo, what's up? Who won it? You know what I mean? You get stomp out, and but XL did something so dope, man, where he took the roll call, man, and said, yo, all that beef and all that's been going on for so many years. Let's bring commodity together. Let's bring that brotherhood together, that community together. So X, if you could talk about that, brother, because we do have it queued up too, because it just so happens I was on the first one, you know what I mean, representing SoundMinds, and then brought in, you know, my 2 brothers came on with me, man. So the second roll call was heavily represented by SoundMinds, with XL with the first verse, and then 3 verses back to back on the second verse. So XL, if you could talk about that, brother.
All right. So the Lower East Side usually got caught up in people inheriting beef that isn't even theirs, right? And we make the same mistakes that people all over the world make, which is when individuals have issues with each other, they wind up speaking in terms as if the whole community has an issue with the next community, and it isn't even so. The J's that I live in have 4,000 people in it, and there isn't a person that has beef with 4,000 people from this block. There are people who, you know, you'll say things, and oftentimes it's said this way: your focus becomes your reality, right? And if the focus of your conversation winds up being that you have beef with this entire block, even though you have no idea who lives on that block, right? That focus will become your reality, and you'll start living it. You'll start walking around in it. And there were people who caught beef with one another. Some people inherited beef that wasn't theirs. But what happened is, in their conversation, the younger ones started to live it. And when the younger ones started to live it, it started to drive a division that didn't exist for me. It didn't exist for me. All 8 major projects out here, I was good in every single one of them. However, whenever I started hearing kids in, you know, junior high school or elementary school talking about, oh, I can't go to the Avenue because they got beef with the Hill. I can't go to the Hill because they got beef with the Ave. I can't go to Compost, Jacob Reese, so on and so forth. It was like, that's unheard of to me, you know, because we're good out here, you know, and we have a reunion that takes place. We have the old timers reunion that takes place every summer And what you'll see is people from all of the 8 major projects down here on the Lower East Side in harmony, getting together, getting along, but the children aren't there to see it, you know? And so the kids don't realize that there's a disconnect. And one summer, when I attended the reunion, I noticed the unity that was going on and the absence of the children. And I said, you know what? I have to utilize the music in order to expose the children to the unity that exists. And so I reached out to my brothers. There were 30 of us on the first track. On the first track, there were 30 of us. On the second track, there's 31 of us from various parts of the Lower East Side of Manhattan and abroad. And individuals just came together just to show unity, you know, with 4 bars each. Like I said earlier before we started this, KRS-One had turned around and done self-destruction out on the West Coast. They did the same gang, and you know a number of people just showed unity by jumping on the same song. Even my brothers from EO Dub, which I was on their first album, you know, Special Ops. We have a joint. Super Zoo turned around and did a song called Underground Shit. Right, you said we could curse on this, so it just is what it is. He turned around and did a song called Underground Shit, and at first he shouted out all of the people who used to frequent EO Dub, and then he did the remix to it, in which he called us in just to do 4 bars each, pretty much in the same lineup that we appeared on his original song. So I thought it was dope. Whenever he did that, he called me in and some of my people in for that, and I said, you know what, I could use that for my block. And so let me go back to the block. Let me snatch these brothers up. Let me have them jump on it. And brothers showed love. Brothers were about that peace and about that unity. And we just went down the line, just having a good time. And that's what it was. That everybody who's on the track, even the stuff that you hear them kick, they're really kicking what's true to them as artists. But it's all done in love. And to me, that was the biggest part of the whole thing, is giving the children an opportunity to see, you know what, there may be a lot going on in the street, but for the most part, we all do get along, you know. And so that's just been the thing.
And I think
it started coming up with a whole new song now. I just started coming up with a whole new unity song. Just right now, I got an idea. We might have to talk after this. We're gonna have to. I got a hook.
You know what's crazy too?
I got a hook.
For Rob, before you move on, if it wasn't for Rob, probably my biggest song, let's be real, my biggest song today is called You Me We. It's a unity song. If everybody had an equal opportunity, instead of beef, we would see a lot of unity. Rob produced that. He got in the production of another producer to do the remix. He engineered it. He did the background vocal, all of that. You know what I mean? So when we talk about, a lot of times we talk about it being like from an elder perspective. Again, I constantly got to salute my brother, because he's the youngest out the crew, out the SoundMinds, you know. Ryan Tang Sauce is really the youngest out the crew right now. And Ryan is empowering me to do these kind of unity tracks. You feel me? So
word up, man.
Thank you.
You know, with that being said as well, honestly speaking, I don't see too many people. I could probably think in my hand 3 people in one hand, right? 3 fingers, but really just one that could really get this done. And it had to be Ty. It had to be XL, because XL was able. And then the first one, shout out to my brother for the work that he put in for getting that together. But the first one, there's a video out for that. So imagine people that you might have had beef with when you was younger, or people's families and units that had beef with each other on a video together. You know what I'm saying? And the dopeness of that is to bring that unity together, man. But then to have a second one, and people understand, like, yo, I don't even rock with them, but you know what? I'm gonna get on because XL's asking me to do this. You know what I'm saying?
You just opened the whole can of worms. The remix. I see it.
Before we,
I just want to say this. I also want to say this just before you play whatever. That you know, there was some hesitation by some people to jump on the track because they had issues or beef with whomever, and they didn't even make the cut because they couldn't get over the beefs that they had with certain people, you know. But there were people who they literally put aside their beef with individuals just to turn around and say, you know what, my stuff is my stuff, and I see what's going on with these children out here, and the children need to know that there's a better way, you know, and that they don't have to get caught up in stuff that doesn't really involve them, you know. So they just showed unity and they showed love. So salute to all of them.
That's beautiful, man. And to get different people from different factions of units and groups and you know what I'm saying? And I think the dope thing about it was, so the second one, man, for XL to ask me like, yo, Light, what up? You on? I was like, yeah, let's go, man. And then to have my brothers with me. So what you're going to hear is the beginning to the second verse, the three of us. And then what I would say is find that on YouTube. And at the same time, I will tell you, when I had my brothers up there, it was kind of like I even changed my 4 bars because I was like, yo, hold on now, Sound Minds. Because even in the first one, shouted out my family, shouted out the Sound Minds family. But to have my brothers on there, all 3 of us shouted out Sound Minds because of the unit being the strength of what it is. So just with all that being said, man, sit back, listen to this, enjoy it. We're going to come back with the conversation. Everybody mute their mics, yo.
What's the timestamp?
It's right after Dre. So after the second, no, go all the way to the beginning.
Yeah.
All the way to, and then it's going to play out until Dre's last verse of the second. So after you hear the hook, you're going to hear the 3 of us back to back. And then you can cut it off from there.
Like Lando, commando, revoke your hand, slow as the east side of the low, not like you understand though. My killer rebel family when the 11 play camo will leave you covered with balls like baby Yoda and Mando.
Hey, they said they couldn't have it, scratch that, it happened. Gon' clap the rabbit, better spread out the hat and take them over the bridge, take them over the Staten, lower then get it crackin', money making Manhattan.
It's Mr. Flip the Scripture and I'm back again. This time for round 2, locked and loaded, my friend. LES to the bone, flowing through my veins. Supreme is where I stand, over this land I reign.
I'm one man with 2 plans to expand. 3 dice, head crack, 4, 5, bam. Stepped into 6th Street Church, they laid hands. 7 deadly sins, fresh since 89, fam.
Talking you study, you came up with it. Hate it, love it, dog, your up split. Got the errors of people in this pot. Red socks, red socks.
Now you might not believe me, but tired like Mr. Feeney. All of y'all are Stevie, none of y'all can see me. Walk a mile in my life and half of y'all can't beat me. And then they gon' beat me, saca de mi beat me.
Yo, I spit well, got the streets in the hype again. Raining shots on these fools like Iverson. Murdered the beat, I did the game, needed life again. Got a tight grip, like vice grips on the mic again.
Salute when you see me, holla at a real G. Lower east side for life until they kill me. Yes, it's the kid with the $1 million mouthpiece. Welcome to my city, New Idiots, where you find
yo,
me.
it's right, kids. I used to play the apprentice. Nowadays, live, pay to my expenses. My voice is a weapon. I'm far from half-step and keep my name out your mouth, cause anybody can
yeah, it's your boy Johnny 5 from the Lower East Side. You know I'm top 5 Spanish rappers dead or alive. It's the Puerto Rican pop, I'm ahead of my time. It don't matter where I go, it's LES till I die.
You're now with the true best from the LES. I've been king, been top, yeah, more or less. I've been boss, been hostile for finesse. Man, niggas know better than this, I'm just success.
Still on deck, the whole dream team is on the set. We on a mission, get fishing for the big checks. We up next, we here, Lower East Side. Step aside, my niggas raising the bar high.
This is J1 and I'm rolling with the whole lower. It's all over. This is the takeover. We break boulders with blades, getting paid a poster. Spitting flames, living fast, nope, never slower.
Hey yo, I'm living for the city. Come and get with me. Better look around, cause it could get sticky. Hustlers double up, things get picky. And in the LES, I'm the king like Diddy.
You ain't gotta be a friend of me, a enemy, or enemy. You violate this family, see 10 of me. 10 baby face vests stronger than Tennessee. Sniping you off like they did the Kennedy.
So we shift your mentality, damaging principalities. Use the words blurred to change your reality. Conquer your distance. I see your blessing and holy and gifted.
Roll call, take a freeze, roll call, delay the war, roll call, Atlantic, roll call, Wardy, roll call, Ruckus, Smith.
It's not a problem if it don't got a solution. Get to the core, the matter continue to win. At the core, the apple that most crack a tooth in. You been surviving where the sharks be, you can swim.
Like top-notch language, tongue full of arson. Back on the dream that no one is pardoned. Swing swords like Spartans, the decapitate the frauds. With Sound Minds on this track, oh my God.
Not your average cat, don't mumble rap. It's called the roll call, that came with soul clap. Some rap, yeah, no, that's all facts. My unit Sound Minds, yo, that's that. Yellow, you
You niggas is hot dogs, I'm about Franks. Rolling with
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it was.
Hey.
So it was. I see the T-shirt from the first video. That's what's up, brother. That's what's up.
11 flag, baby. 11 flag, baby.
So let me say this. What? All right. So you see how we talk about the labels and how we all got to the point where what could we do, not just to do without labels, but to make it better for other people, right? What type of brother, when I came down, he was like, okay, you from the LES, you be in the video. Then our young brother Tang Sauce, he was like, you know what? Tang Sauce posts up in the video and handed us 2 shirts. You see what I'm saying? These labels got you out here like paying for your own videos, paying, like Sincere was saying earlier, it's basically a lot of times they gave you a loan. Like Tsunami was saying how you end up in debt because a lot of these advances they call are loans. Now, Def Jam had given me something called a production deal, which is something different. We could talk about probably a later episode. So you can work it out certain different ways, but mostly it's an advance, which is a loan. So you're literally in debt. Now, my brother right here, Tae, actually had shirts that he was giving out. So that means he took the time and effort to have the design, have the logo, print it up, and give it out to people, you know what I mean? And say, post up, represent this unity in the video, you know what I mean? Merchandise is big. We don't have to go in the whole thing about merchandise, but merchandise is big. Just to have a shirt, all of us are wearing something for a reason on this episode right now. Like all of us tend to do that. So if you can do that type of thing, these are the things that there was a time, all right? And we reminiscing. So there was a time, and by the way, ZQ, we could hear you drawing like whatever you drawing with that Sharpie marker. We can't see it, but we know you drawing with a black tip, gold sparkle Sharpie marker, and we better see the finished project at the end of this podcast because we hear you doing it. We expect to see something, but besides that, I have to blow up your spot. Besides that, we remember the time where you had to go. Like you couldn't get CDs. So if you had your CD, it meant you were signed or you was working on something or you had vinyl, right? This is before you could burn your own CDs, make your own cassettes, all of that type of stuff. And as soon as it came out with disc makers or tape works or whatever the different companies was, we was reading the catalogs and trying to estimate, should we get 10 or could we get 20 at a time or 100? How many we was gonna sell? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my brother Ace Lover, SoundMinds. We used to be up on you know what I mean? Up on the trains, freestyling from car to car, selling our cassettes, but we had to tape those cassettes. We had to literally sit there with my dual cassette recorder and record from one blank cassette to another in the crib, in the project. So what I'm saying is what Ty is showing us is y'all, and I'm saying y'all because for a lot of us, we know this now, but for a lot of y'all don't, and you act like you're up against a brick wall or something. Like y'all have so many opportunities to do the things that we wanted labels to do. You know what I mean? The things that you don't have to get involved with whoever you don't want to get involved with because you can make your own shirts. And before you had nice shirts like that, this is the first official SoundMinds logo, y'all. Substantial probably remember this from Soul & Flight.
Woo! Exclusive.
And mind you, this was a Japanese print Goko machine. It was no printing up merch of the shirts. I got a Japanese print Goko machine and printing every single one of these by hand. You feel me?
That's history. Oh my! Look at this. Look at the music.
More fire.
Look at the music notes in the head. Look at the music notes in the head. SoundMinds. Look at
SoundMinds for that.
SoundMinds. Yo, history, man. This is pure history right here, man.
And not only that, Ty, I mean, for the most part, I'll be real with you, X. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't shout out the young lady that passed away. That, you know what I mean? So I know when we was talking about the second joint, you know what I mean? Like you was like pushing, and then the young lady was like, "Yo, man, that LES roll call, we need more of that." And then so I'll let you tell that, man. And I know you was about to say something else, man. But shout out to you, brother.
My sister. My sister, Boricua Red Mo, Janet, she turned around and passed. She was also an MC from the Lower East Side. She nothing but love for all of us when we did the roll calls and stuff like that on part one, and she was actually the one really pushing me for the part two. Brother Lightskin was on top of me for the video because the video was a long time in the making. As you can imagine, just trying to get 30 artists time schedules to turn around and match up to do anything. But like I want to do something, if I may, which is bring this thought to the table and allow you guys to chop it up as you see fit. When the brother was asking about record deals and things of that nature, which was a good question, I want to say this to everybody. One is we have to be clear about what hip hop is and what hip hop isn't, right? I went to a forum it was actually at NYU, in which there were a lot of underground artists talking about how business and the culture have turned around and changed over the years. And whenever I was at the forum, I let them know the culture has nothing to do with your business. The culture has nothing to do with your business. And, you know, I'll elaborate just really quick. Shaolin is not a business. And I'm not talking about Staten Island. I'm talking about Shaolin, the temple, right? Shaolin's not a business. Shaolin is Shaolin. There are individuals who turn around and try and market the idea of Shaolin, or they try and market aspects of Shaolin, right? But that's not Shaolin. And we oftentimes get it twisted, and we think that there's a hip hop radio station, right? The song said hip hop started out in the park. That's where it is. Mos Def said, while you're trying to find out where it is, I'm in the streets where it lives. There it is. You know, what happened to banging on the table and so on and so forth? What happened to banging on the elevator? Whatever. Like brothers are saying, there was a time whenever we didn't have all of this fancy equipment in order to do whatever it is that we're doing. And that was real to the art and to the craft, right? Not fronting on anybody who's utilizing technology to do whatever it is that they're doing. However, just being honest about what the craft is and what the craft isn't. If you're going to conduct business, now here's where I go with it, right? The brother Substantial that's also on this live, right? The brother Substantial did his homework. And so one of the things that I got from the brother Substantial, even while on this live, is the brat said, I want the scholar who could capitalize my dollar, right? And so whenever you start to talk about contracts and things of that nature, be a student, do your homework, right? Familiarize yourself with certain phrases, with the legalese that's involved in doing contracts, if you decide that that's the route that you want to go. However, technology has also changed to the degree that you don't really have to sign with anybody in order to turn around and still get your bread. You know what I mean? But you do need to be a student. You know, those individuals who studied at Shaolin, they needed to be a student of Shaolin so that they could turn around and they could move forward with what they really wanted to get to. And so there's a difference between hip hop and the businesses that are in existence right now. Hip hop's not the business. The business is whatever venture you choose to get into to make your money. And that's okay. Do that, right? More power to you, more power to yours. Feed your family. But the hip hop I'm familiar with comes from the park, right? Yeah.
SoundMinds. Word up, man. Yo, that right there. And see, that's the thing. Hip hop is the culture. Hip hop is the art and the passion of that art. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, a lot of what happened was the business was able to infiltrate and then create rap, where not rapping, but rap is a sub branch of a bigger tree, just based off of when you could mumble and do whatever. That's why my brother Ackle said it on the LDS roll call. I don't mumble rap, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. Like, we are the true representation of the culture itself. So when you hear my brother speak about, nah, I'm good, I don't regret none of the businesses that were offered to me or the business approaches that were offered to me, it's because they're so true to themselves, individually and as a unit. You know what I mean? So, and I gotta say, so I don't know if you see the comments, Dre. You have Trisha saying what's up to you, and she just asked us to go. She asked it. She wants to hear us flow. You know what I mean? And so, Chance, he told me to personally let you know that he boos you. You know what I mean, John Chance. So
that's my man.
Yeah, I know. He told me, he was like, yo, I know, man, back in the day, man, tell him boo. And he's on here too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, shout out to 21
hey,
Poets and
Grito Poetas too, and you know what I'm saying?
Man.
So, yeah.
If y'all ain't checking the chats, it's hilarious. You got sisters out here trying to kick it to Substantial, and he's being very gracious. You know what I mean? Substantial is happily taking. And actually, you know what? We're going to say that for another episode. But peace to you and your queen actually working together, because that's a beautiful thing as well. You one of those couples that have actually managed to like show a united front in the creative endeavors. You know what I mean? So that's a whole other episode. But yeah, you know, just Substantial being a gentleman in the chats, you know what I mean? Letting people down easy. I want to let me talk to you about that Substantial for a second. First of all, let's shout out Icon the Mic King. When we talk about the early days of the internet and hip hop, I cannot think of anyone more quintessential than Icon the Mic King. This brother was equally, and like I think he's like a literal computer scientist now, if I'm not mistaken. Like that's where he gets his guap. In his senior year, and he's definitely SoundMinds. Like he's one of the first people to shout out SoundMinds on like a release track. You know what I mean? So love to you, brother. Where you at? We got to get you on one of these. But I remember he was in his like senior year at Howard or something like that as a computer science major, and his dad said, you know, if you keep doing this rap thing, like be about one or the other. And I'm not sure if his dad knew how he was going to take it, but he dropped out of his senior year as like an honors computer scientist to pursue rap, jumping on Greyhound buses, going to scribble jams, driving from Connecticut to New York, and so on and so forth. It got to the point where he came down to the LES, stayed with me for a minute, definitely connected with Pac FM, definitely was a great fan of many styles. But to show that he wasn't a sucker, mastered many styles. Shout out to you too. We got to get Iron Many on the chat. Mastered like his style and battled him. And I remember the uproar it caused, because at first it was like, okay, he was a dude that came in and he's cool and this and that. But now he's battling and winning. You know what I'm saying? And it was an upset. So you already know all this Substantial, but I say this to say the same thing I previewed before. You came from another place, but I always felt like you was right at home. You know what I mean? Whether it was the LES, whether it was NY, wherever we saw you. What skills do you think you got from the culture itself that would be encouraging to other artists, feeling like they haven't done what we've done? You know, we've had the experience by now where we've been in other countries, other states, and felt at home because we came in through the hip hop. Nugent Best, you had this experience in Japan as well. We've had this, but what would you tell to them, being one that, at least in the NY scene, we was all privileged to be from that relative area,
right?
And you was coming from another area, but you always felt like you was right at home. You know what I'm saying? So what advice could you give, or what challenges did you overcome where you felt it to the point where when I see you out of cities and states, I seen you stand up for yourself when people try to battle you, not knowing who you was. And okay, this is a long intro to the question, but I do need to say this.
All good.
I have to say this. I have to say this. When you're from New York, you be a little bit obnoxious. All right. And I can say this because I'm from the heart of New York, LES, and a lot of us are. You don't realize that Connecticut, upstate, other places have the hood, like the hoodily hood. All right. Maryland, right? So it was either upstate New York or Springfield. They all got shooters. They all wild with it.
I happen to be doing a show at one of these spots, and Substantial happened to be rocking at the same venue, and we didn't know that. But he was on the stage, and some of these dudes that was with it.
Oh, they was deep too. They was almost 30 deep. Yo, yeah, I remember that.
Get into it. Get into
yeah,
it.
was that New London, Connecticut, or somewhere else?
It might have been. I feel like it was like upstate or Springfield, actually.
Okay, all right.
I bumped into a couple spots, but this one was one of them like late night. There's no police in the area. There's no, like, it's not the suburbs.
Nah.
And they tried to check you while you was at your show.
Yeah.
And I was like, is he just gonna let it go? Or and you was right there. So please talk about that. What is the skills of you being able to represent the culture, get love wherever you go, that can encourage people that it's not necessarily where you from, it's where you at?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, so skill level speaks for itself, right? And so no matter the situation, if we're ultimately all there for the craft, first and foremost, like we're in this hip hop venue because we love hip hop, and you're watching people rhyme because either you enjoy listening to people rhyme or you yourself rhyme, then at the end of the day, like hip hop has a lot of bravado in it, no matter what element you practice. So there's always going to be people in the crowd who feel like, especially the one thing about the underground, which I think we all can agree can sometimes be great and also make us not enjoy it as much, is a lot of times when we rock the smaller venues, we're usually performing for other performers, right? Like mostly, or at least half the audience does what you do. And so sometimes when you're not as established yet, when you haven't hit that point yet, where you're walking into a venue and people don't know who you are, all they know is, hey man, like I'm supposed to perform at some point in time tonight. I don't care if they say you the feature or not, wrap that shit up, B, because I'm trying to get up there and do my thing too. And so we were in a joint where we traveled a long ways to do what we do. And in the middle of our set, like a big crew of dudes who I guess was planning to rock later on during the open mic joint, just start just saying wild shit, chanting the name of their crew, whatever. And I basically, and I've done this at EO Dub when someone was disrespecting during an acapella one time. I basically was like, yo, like, it's real simple. Send your best. Whoever your best is, have them come up here, do what they do. And we gonna see. But if they ain't got this work, if they ain't ready for what comes after they do what they do, yo, I need y'all shut up the rest of the night and ain't nothing else to talk about. You know what I mean? So you ain't gotta send your whole crew, just send your best. And yeah, man, in that particular night, like, yo, as deep as they were, they ain't have nobody who could work with this skill, right? And so I think a Common, when he said he was like there's a line he says in the Bitchin' You, he was like, you in the circle mad. You ain't got no choice but to fight because none of you motherfuckers got a chance on the mic. Like that shit right there, I live by that no matter where I go in the world. Because a lot of times, even when I tour, I'm talking about like on the road for like 4 weeks, dolo. Like I landed in the country by myself, met my DJ who he live out in Tokyo now. He from Seattle, but yo, we out there, it's 2 of us. You know what I mean? And a lot of times traveling in between joints, it's just me sometimes. And so, yo, look, I'm confident in who I am as a man, first and foremost, that like, yo, God got me. So it's like, I'm not going to bow down to anyone because they are proud of their ability and think their ability is somehow superior to mine. I'm like, motherfucker, we can find out. And so when I left Maryland and got to New York, I knew before I got to New York, like the caliber of artists. Like, yo, I was listening. I was in PG County, Maryland, listening to Natural Elements. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was, I was hip to not just salute. Like,
A-Butter, L Swift,
nasty, bro. Like,
Kai
still killing it. Oh my God. Yo, Kai's dope. So like,
So you feel like it creates like a common level where the skill level and the respect for the culture actually make you a home. Like it's a home in itself, right?
Like, you know, I had an album called Home is Where the Art Is, right? So if I call myself an artist, right, and then I show up in an area where they say, like, yo, this is where art is, right? There's art all around us. Like, motherfucker, I'm at home, about to kick my feet up. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing to be scared of because I am amongst other artists, and I know they know dope shit when they see it, and I don't question myself. I don't question myself in terms of like what my ability is, and that's not just with this pen. It's off the head. It's with visual art, like any of this.
Rod giving you the SoundMinds gem sample now right there. Did he just hit us with a SoundMinds gem sample?
Right, man. And so yeah, man. So like coming from where I am from, like, you know. I mean, dude, like even here we had amphibians, you know what I mean? Rest in peace to Philly. Shout out to Joe, you know what I mean? We had the amphibians here, Ghosts from them. And then you know,
shout out to the amphibians.
Yeah.
You know,
we'll say again.
They just released a new album.
Oh yeah. I'm hip, man.
Shout out.
No doubt.
But like having brothers like that here in the DMV, having shout out to Inner Loop, you know what I mean? My man Ray ripping all y'all and DJ RBI. Like, yo, I was seeing these dudes kill it at State of the Union and all these different places off of U Street in DC before I even got up there. For you know, and so knowing what existed down here, and then just like I always was surrounded by like just dope artists, no matter where I was in the world. So when I got to other places, I mean, I'd see other dope artists, but like I really felt like the shit never felt unfamiliar. And truth be told, before I even moved to New York, I was such a hip hop head in DC and Maryland that a lot of times like people would clown me saying this nigga act like he from New York, just because I was so deep into the culture. Like I did graph, you know what I mean? I was DJing or whatever. I used to break when I was younger, and I rhymed. So like I was heavy into it, like at a very, very young age, and that made me a bit of an oddball amongst most of my peers here, because niggas like rap, but they didn't necessarily love the entire culture, and I was into the fucking culture. So like,
yo, and let me say this: SoundMinds is universal too, because you see, we started out in the LES, but we branched out crazy, and it wasn't like we spread it; it was more like we connected to people that we already saw was already shining, you know what I mean? Like Rob was already shining when he seen him, you know what I mean? ZQ connecting with people out in Sweden and whatnot. DC Kokai in DC, like,
man, dude,
he's like the nastiest freestyle that like,
yo, hey,
that's a whole other segment. But
man, look, my brother, hey, that dude. Like, yo, he traveled the world. He's performing in like almost 40 countries, and yo, like literally toured with a jazz trio. Like it's a trio, 2 instruments, and then him on the vocals. They never do the same show because every show is off the head all around the globe. Like, and I ain't even talking about hip hop. Like it's mostly jazz, really. You know what I mean? But then hey, yo, that's a whole, like you said, that's another episode. That dude.
We digging into that when soon as on your episode.
Yeah. We had to. Yeah, so we need you back on, brother. We definitely do. But with that being said, let's cipher it out. Let's cipher it out. So listen, man. I mean, for the most part, man. Anytime we bring any artists or MCs on here, we ask them to spit their favorite 16. You know what I'm saying? You know, let's just in the vein of who we are, man, in the vein of what the unit is, man, the family, everybody, man, just spit their 16, man. You know what I mean? I know ZQ, you in and out with the Wi-Fi. Do you want to go first based off of that, just to get yours off? And by the way, before you answer that, shout out to Nasa Nemo. Nasa Nemo is one of the illest spoken word artists. He was on here, but he has issues with his Wi-Fi. And on top of that, I would check him out, man. Dope crocheting, has his own clothing line out, man. Handmade crochets that he's killing out there. Shout out to Tank Source, who also had issues with his Wi-Fi
as well.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, Nasa Nemo is ill with it, man. And you know, so for the most part, look up Nasa Nemo, and Nasa Nemo backwards is Dominica. That's where he's from. So look up Nasanima OD, and then you gonna see all his stuff. Shout out to Tang Source. He's hosting his open mics right now. He just came back from Africa. Dope b-boy dancer, dope artist, plays all types of instruments. He was on here too, but he got knocked off because of the Wi-Fi. Shout out to Mind State producer. Shout out to a lot of people who are Sound Minds. Lower Veloz, you know what I mean? My brother, we sent the invite, but I know it's kind of crazy right now these times. So, but for the most part, Sound Minds is Sound Minds, and this is the unit, man. And so when you see this is a very big trunk to a big tree, but there's so many other branches. But with that being said, let's get into this D16s, man. Some people are asking us to spit. So I don't know if we have an order. Let's get it done.
ZQ, let's get it. He back on right on time before it drop out.
Yo, hello? Yo.
Yep.
We can't
even hear you. All right. What's up?
You can't hear us?
What's going on?
He can't hear us. He can't hear us.
Yo, that's you. I just heard you, Rob.
Okay, there's a delay. Yeah, we in a cipher. You about to set off the cipher before you drop out? Nope, he dropped out. Mike.
All right, up next. What we doing?
Up next. Rap poet.
Okay.
Yo, we was banging on the tables, freestyling over the late lunch, ladies' lunch. Now we on the screen internet looking like the Brady Bunch. It's more than a little bit of you can handle. We coming through a light-skinned King Rasham is substantial. Who I seen battling cats out of the state. They got real calm at first. They came in irate, not knowing that hip-hop is a state of mind. That son Tsunami will come through with a bond. He reached through the internet before anybody. Catching through the internet many bodies. Before it was Smack DVD going live, I seen my brother ACO on the job.
SoundMinds. He set it off with the straight freestyle. Let's go. We got Substantial up next.
Hey, yeah, check. Let me see. Who am I to talk? Actually, I'm paid to do just that. Hit them with just facts. Truth ugly as muskrats. Been in the lab, just cooking up tracks. Tight lip for a nice bit. This ain't a back, it's back. I'm Jai Tony with beats and flows instead of knees and bows. But there's no need to boast. Don't need my ego stroke. My track record's my interpreter. Good with supporters. Y'all be thirsting for the worshipers. Namaste. I'ma play my role like Mahershala. No impact without an act. Get the working, bruh. Turn it up. The moment I said less, my streaming spike. Earned enough, but I can't exit till my team is right. Cause everyone's a boss, but they ain't paying nobody. Everyone's a gangster, but they ain't no Gotti. Everybody say they know the code, but they straight snitching. Everybody know a lot, but their actions say different. Yeah.
Let's get it. SoundMinds.
XL in the building. What up? Check it. I call thoughts no, we should never read a word I wrote about a company and how they try to cut her throat. I tried to warn her before she went on her last tour. Your microphone's letting me know that she was at war. She's a pawner, so it seems that your mic is a queen. She released the rap from Cain to me, the God fiend. I tried to warn her before she went on her last tour. Check it out. When I spit it, I'ma spit it raw. Cause I'm coming to see what was on the scene. The dreams I saw come in the past like the time in the hourglass. Hours last to seem. Seeing our scenes, see to hold tight. I've come to look forward to hindsight. Blind lights eclipse for sunshine from dark lips and dark times. Your midi minds to vitals and light signs. Well, lifeline. If one of us seeks, the one will never find the color of mankind, but covers a colorblind true lies. No one dies. Everybody lives forever. My death holds this untold reflection in the mirror. Eyes are paralyzed by my full range of motion. Heaven's gate mating with the mist from hell's ocean. Waves burst, the first to quench the thirst, the lost soul, second to the second, the mist of your throat swole. My dry hands, they understand the lust for big waves. A servant serves the master, now the pastor of free slaves. A house of many mansions, streets of gold glistening. Mind speak of the emperor what matters is who's listening. Many men march many miles of the millennium. One walk to the cross, the born, three for the synonym.
Let's go, Tsunami.
That right now. All right. Yo, Axe Galactic. Gravity crush all combatants. I'm mathematic. The way I spit bars is mastered. A rhyme savage. Audio bot beyond the average. Activists transform, destroy these simple bastards. Fatal tactics. Strategic force quite massive. Cosmic gladiator. Knock the earth right off its axis. I'm off the planet, but drop hard like meteors. I jump in your cipher session, make it an all-out war. Spit with a force. Trample right over you frauds and settle the score. And take another win for the laws. Off with his head. Man, your whole team will get floored. Decapitate you pony rappers just for thinking your heart. I'm running your squad. Tack the joint with poisonous darts. Flipping the heart. I sacrifice your life for this art. Spit from the heart. A little something like that, yeah.
Project AC,
SoundMinds.
SoundMinds. Oh, I'm up next to right after. All right. This right here is 9 pens penetrating everyone's nucleus. Fragmented sentiments make penance through my pen ink. Release vengeance on easels to my soul that's expensive. Get in depth to the extensive. My thoughts rupture your appendix. Listen to my riffs. I'm Art's Jimi Pendrix. This is my spiritual ascension. I'm sick. Spit penicillin selfishly just to release tension. No false prophets or henchmen can stop my thirst quenching when I wrap words around throats and drop gems for the lynching. Let the pendulum swing if there are issues that need addressing. I got honest answers for all your fabricated questions. The hell with a bag. I'm trying to secure my pension. There's a list of top wordsmiths. My pen deserves a mention. ACO.
SoundMinds.
ACO.
Let's go. So I'm gonna hit him with. I'm gonna come in. It's like I'm jumping in that cipher like right now. I'm like, oh, okay. They got the cipher going on. I'm like, hey yo, stop trying to wake me up. I ain't sleep, niggas. Being conscious. Being woke, the new hustle. Yeah, I peep, niggas. But with that conscious shit, you catching up to me, niggas. My spirit game strong, tapping on these weak niggas, doing it for followers. Well, all the people following. Just only want some followers, so in return you follow in. Your standards getting lower. These niggas only capping. Don't try to call me now, you wasn't fucking with me back then. My standards getting higher. I'm moving and improving. I'm riding the old schools. I be grooving when I'm cruising. I'm the one who got the blueprints, valuing my vision. Pay me for consultations because they value my opinion. You gotta value your decisions, the right and the wrong, and cut the people off who only want to tag along. Cause I try to play cool, positive attitude, but depending on my mood, I would eat a nigga food. On my kids, I will not lose. Gotta show and prove, handle drama with the tools, and they legal too. Sometimes I sing the blues, but this is a time for passion. Was an offie in the past, but I'm the last one laughing. To the bank, what you think? See, I've been grinding for years. Niggas steal your ideas, perpetuate like it's his. My scars are Billy Hill. From custody of my kids to custody of my mother and fighting for her to live. I'm the one they always give, but they never giving back. And you could really feel it when it's weighing on your spirit. I am not like you. I'm 10 years ahead. And my bars will resonate 10 years ahead. And my bars will be earning coins 10 years ahead. And my bars preparing you 10 years ahead. SoundMinds.
SoundMinds. ZQ ain't on. ZQ, damn, ZQ ain't on. Oh, come on, Z.
There you go.
Come on, Zaquan.
Yo.
Are we? Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right.
And
cool.
decipher,
All right,
brother.
all right, cool. Say it, excavate it, then go into the inner mind's eye, contemplate it, digging in the heart, pulling out notions of motions that move with the motions of the deepest oceans. We celebrate it, captivating rhythms from the natives, cultivating spirits of the ancients, activating the chords of your 7 chakras, harmonizing like chords on keys, mummies coming to life with these raps that's on tap into holistics, like you walking on sand and see 2 sets of footprints. This is just a wrinkle in time. Iron out your place. Be careful.
Oh, we lost him.
Yo, he said
We
it's a
lost
wrinkle
him.
of time. I'm not out of place, and then he jumped through a dimensional wormhole. You heard?
He just went through another portal. He went through the portal. Phew. Phew.
I told y'all, man. I told y'all ZQ, man. Yeah,
Like
listen,
Spaceballs, he just hit plaid.
Beat maker?
Yeah.
What y'all know of him as a beat maker is nowhere near what he is as an MC on the low, yo. I'm telling you.
Yo, I want to thank everybody for staying tuned for this 2
sir.
hours. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you, all the likes. Listen, make sure you share this. Make sure you subscribe. Listen, this is the Sound Minds family right here. You just witnessed and you heard the ciphers. ZQ back.
Hey.
A wrinkle in time, huh?
Yeah, man.
He's back from the future.
I'm breaking the I'm breaking the time barrier right now. You know, I'm like 6 hours ahead right here.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
it's like
sir.
3 o'clock in the morning.
The heat you spitting, man, the frequencies are too deep. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Sound Minds to the family, man. Listen, next Sunday, what we got?
Next Sunday, we're gonna have a dope episode, man. We working on something really big, man. And you know, so for the most part, we don't want to let it out until it's fully confirmed. Yo, my brothers, first and foremost, I'm gonna tell y'all straight off the bat, man. As a man, I love y'all. I thank y'all for being here. I thank y'all. You know what I mean? All the history and the every single memory that we created together, man. Whether it be for a millisecond to a whole lifetime, you know what I mean? It is an immense strength that comes through a unit such as this, man. And I think that as we all doing our things individually, man, we coming together. So pretty soon we're gonna start working on this Sound Minds project, you know what I mean? And we just want all our brothers to be able to sound with us.
Boys and girls, you heard it here first.
Yes, sir. And you hear the heat, you know what I mean? Everybody ciphering here spits fire, you know what I'm saying? Flamethrowers. So for the most part, you already could imagine what it seems or what it sounds like when you hear Sound Minds together. Again, this is godliness at its best. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to all my brothers, man. I can't tell you how proud I am of each and every one of y'all. If y'all want to talk about what it is you're currently doing now, shout that out as well, man. But with all that being said, I can't spend a better Sunday with nothing but my family. So shout out to everybody, man. Sound Minds.
Salute, family.
Word.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anything you want to shout out? Be real quick, XL.
I just want to say it's all love, brother, and I thank everybody for showing up, showing out, right? And the history that was shared is something that will live forever.
Yes, yes. Facts.
Peace.
Peace. Our brother Substantial.
Hey, man. Thank y'all for having me, man. It's definitely been these last 2 hours have been great. It was dope catching up. You know what I mean? I appreciate everybody for tuning in and watching. Shout out to the chat for showing love. You can catch me online, iamsubstantial.com, and across most social media as Substantial Music or I Am Substantial. But man, hey man, I got love for y'all brothers, man. Nothing but the best to you and yours. Peace. Y'all have a great night. All right.
Peace.
Salute.
Sound Minds.
Peace.
Tsunami, shout out what you doing.
I'm daddying, bro. That's it. I'm daddying.
Speak that truth. I mean? Let's go.
That's it. I'm daddying.
You speaking for all of us, right?
Right. I'm just trying to be the best father I could possibly be. That's it, man. You know what I mean?
Go.
Y'all, like I said, Kaim did it before. Y'all doing it again. Y'all just pull me out the toy box every once in a while. You know, y'all still got Andy written on the bottom of my foot. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I mean? But
and shout out to my brother, man, because he's being real humble. He is one of the best fathers that I know, straight off the game. And this is not only because this is my partner, this is my brother, this is my brother in rhyme, my partner in rhyme, you know what I mean? And you know, to see him on a whole different level again. When we started the Sound Minds thing, it was all about just love for the culture, man. And to see us kind of grow old together, man, and see our sound babies, you know what I mean, being the next chapter, man, you doing your thing, brother. So for the world, I gotta let y'all know, don't be too surprised you hear an Acolyte track coming out. You know what I'm saying? Because truth of the matter is, we're gonna work on my brother putting that out and getting that done. So straight up, man, you are the father that you are meant to be, brother, and I salute you in every way possible.
Hold up. I know for a fact these two brothers right here that there's a lot of y'all podcasts, our podcast family hasn't seen before. I know for a fact that these two brothers is known for having a classic go-by action figure, something within arm's reach. A ill graphic something. Y'all gotta post
he looked at it.
He looked at it.
He looked at it.
God.
It's to his right.
You know I'm not lying. You know both of y'all
ZQ looked at it. It's to it.
to show you either got a transformer.
Got it.
Custom paint job, bro.
Yo, why you read that, bro?
I'm about to right now. Oh man.
You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
Custom wearing and everything, brother. You know me, man.
Wow.
I stay on it, bro. So
collectors.
You know what I'm saying? This is the black man version of the X-Wing. Word.
Classic.
You know what I'm saying? Right there. Word.
Wow.
What's up? Yeah, man. You know what I mean? That's all I do.
Any last words, good brother? Once again, man, nice meeting both of you brothers. Any last words?
Well,
the podcast isn't done for the year.
Hold on.
Well, honestly, I just want to say that that like the last 4 years have been like a great journey for me. Like emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Like I've gone through a lot of things with a number of friends passing, my mother passing, me moving over to another country in a different side of the world. There's been a lot going on with me personally and just like in terms of like so many levels. But I am here. Yeah. Honestly, I'm at a place now where I am here. And I'm able to help and support and provide musically. You know, I'm very much in the same vein and very in the same spirit of this brother Ra. You know what I mean? Music, engineering, mixing, and I'm hoping maybe even to be getting to a point to where I might be able to do a bit of mastering also. But the point is, like, I'm here. I didn't do this all, and I didn't get to this point, and I haven't been a part of this hip hop for the last 15, 20 years just to provide for myself. I'm here to provide for y'all. This has all been an effort of love for you guys. So that way now I'm able to do something and provide the way I would like to provide for y'all. So it's time. It's time. You know what I mean?
And SoundMinds, man. SoundMinds to that.
That was heartfelt, man.
You know what I mean?
SoundMinds.
Wow.
It's time.
It's good to see you, Q.
It's good to see you too, bro. Seriously.
And you know what, man? And I'm not even gonna this is probably something I'm gonna tell you privately anyway, but I'll tell you in public, brother. Your losses are the losses of all of us. You know what I mean? And don't ever go through them alone, brother. We here. You know what I'm saying? That's what a unit is. That's what a brotherhood is. You know what I'm saying? As I tell Dre all the time too, man. Anytime anybody trying to pop off on my brother, man, that's popping off on me. So let's get it. You know what I mean? But at any time, man, give me a call, man. Let me know what it is. You know what I'm saying? So
listen,
we here.
Me
we
too,
here.
good brother. You spoke directly to me. Trust me, and we definitely gonna talk about that privately.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, bro, y'all family, and you know anybody that's connected to y'all, and you know our words are our bonds. They become family also. You know what I mean? Like this world has become too small now through the use of the intranet and so many other words, the Matrix or whatever we want to call it. But I take the words from a very good brother. He once told me, you can either use a hammer for two things: to hammer a nail into the wall or bash somebody's head with it. These things we have, the tools, and if we use them and utilize them for the forces of sound minds, sound light, sound energy, positive energy, man.
Yeah, my brother, we gotta talk, bro.
Man.
My brother, we gotta talk. I'm trying to tell you, you're talking directly to me, and that's exactly what I've been telling myself. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because I gotta shout out my brother Light, because he was just telling me that. He tells me that on the phone when he hears me talk to him, because he knows what I'm going through personally. I just recently lost my mother. You know what I mean?
Oh wow.
So he just to hear me come and talk back to him, and hear me that I'm here and hear that my energy is up. He's like, yo, I'm glad to hear you laughing. I'm glad to hear you that you're here. You know what I mean? And so when you even just started off that way, and then just saying that it's time, I was just telling myself, now it's time. It's time for me to get back into the lyrical healing, because I wrote an album called The Battle to Know Thyself when my mother first got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And now that she's passed, it's time for me to continue that healing process through these lyrics and drop another album, release that through myself, because that's the way I'm able to, heal through it. You know what I mean? And I go through my own spiritual journeys and spiritual to, find, the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to life of itself.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? It's it never ends, bro. Never ends, man. Like, I'm still finding out, little things about myself and going inside and digging past the fears, bro.
Yes.
There's so many things that we've been taught and we've been brainwashed with and been conditioned with, that you have to go deep and dig them out, man. And it's not easy, bro. Like,
it's time to go back in and even more, because it's never ending. It's never ending, and that's what I realize. Even you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
man.
why you said when you said it's time, it's time.
Absolutely,
Appreciate
yeah,
this,
man. Yeah, man. I appreciate this. This is like said, like this is needed. Like we have to talk with each other, communicate with each other, and dig in each other's heads, man. Yep. Honestly. Because, like what one man sees and what another man doesn't see, it goes hand in hand.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You can't see everything. You can't do everything. Honestly, I'm through. I think this is an interesting thing. I think that us as people of color, we see on the TV over and over again how it seems like these old characters and how they've been portrayed, where everything gets dumped on the black person's shoulder, and we got to bear everything all the time. It's always on that one person to bear everything. You got to bear this, you got to bear that. No, bro, I'm done with that.
No.
You know what that creates, though. What that creates is when we got to bear everything, we become those grizzly bears that they don't want to deal with. You know what I mean? So once you become that bear, you can bear everything thrown. Now it's all about being able to balance that out with that inner peace at the same time. You know what I mean? So
absolutely,
that's what we about, man. Sound Minds Adept, man.
Yes, that's
that shirt looking magnificent right now.
Which one?
Huh?
Mine?
Huh?
Hey, let's go.
SoundMind merch on the way soon. SoundMind merch on the way. Hey,
Very
we
much.
are getting up out of here, family. SoundMinds.
See you
next week.
We got a few more episodes for the year. Every Sunday, 7 p.m. Stay tuned. SoundMindsHipHop.com. Love y'all. Thank you. I'm filled with nothing but gratitude right now.